Before this video starts, if you enjoy this video, there are many more like it already on the channel, with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. I upload almost daily on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is the place for it. Also, drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. Also, real quick, as I said in the last two videos, there is a new podcast out right now. I completely rebranded the podcast that I used to have, hosted with Mojo99, to the Rusty and Mojo Show, where we're going to be talking about our lives and just more personality-based shit rather than basketball, because I think you get enough basketball talk from me as it is. So that is going to be linked in the description, and I'd really appreciate it if you checked it out. Now, if you are a subscriber to this channel for a while, you'd probably know that once again, I'm uploading on Wednesday a 2K talk, which is what I normally do not do. I think I'm going to make this my new routine just for the simplicity of making the schedule more consistent, because like I'm uploading three regular videos in a row, then a 2K talk, then a regular video, then a 2K talk, when I could just do 2K talk, regular video, 2K talk, regular video, regular video. I stuttered there, but whatever. You get my point. I've lost track of my sleep schedule, and I've been doing shit later and later, so I wanted to try and fix it without staying up all night to write a script, so we're getting this today, and tomorrow there's going to be a normal video. So with all of that out of the way, today we're going to be talking about the Washington Wizards and what their future holds. Now, I find the Wizards to be probably the most perplexing team in terms of what direction they should head in, because I would say that they are in a great position to do both a rebuild and a retool. I could see it working out where they just trade everybody on the roster and then they're a very good team down the line. Or I could see them sticking to what they have and being a very good team in the short term, but maybe not quite a contender in the long term, which you probably get from the rebuilding process. So the reason why I say that is because I honestly feel like people have forgotten that John Wall exists, because he only played 32 games in 2018-19 season, only played 41 the season before that, so he has been real injured and he hasn't gotten a lot of playing time, but I would like to remind people that he is a very good player, or at least he was before injuries really took over. For the last season where he was really healthy, he averaged 23 and 11, and I actually predicted that he would win an MVP after this season because he led the team to nearly 50 wins, and he had an amazing box score season. Then obviously he gets hurt, and I actually still stand by that prediction because, I mean, he gave me reason to believe that he could have an MVP caliber season, but he just got hurt. Now, do I believe he's going to be as good as he was when he wasn't hurt? Well, no. First of all, he is someone who relies on athleticism quite a bit, and that's not good, obviously, when you're dealing with injuries, because I don't remember the exact extent of his injuries, but I think it was something in his lower body, and with athletic point guards, lower body injuries tend to be pretty severe, as you should know with Derrick Rose and other players like him. But then also on this roster, there is an older guy in Davis Bertans, who is 27. That's obviously not old, but it's not like even though he's really just coming onto the scene now, it's not like he's a young guy in the league. Rui Hachimura is how do you say his fucking name? Rui Hachimura. Okay, I'll look it up. Rui Hachimura. Whatever. Rui had a pretty good rookie year. He averaged 13 points as well as 6 rebounds. My concern is he really has not had much of a three-point jump shot, and ideally he's a power forward, but I would like Davis Bertans to be a starter with this team, and he's really not going to get that opportunity with Rui at power forward, and I don't think Rui can really play small forward just because, I mean, he can, but he's really more suited as a 4. And then outside of that, there's obviously Bradley Beal, who averaged 30 points per game this season on pretty solid efficiency, as well as 6 assists. So this is a roster where I think there are enough pieces here where you can be like, all right, we get John Wall back if he's 80% of what he used to be, and we get some solid signings in free agency, such as DeMarcus Cousins, which I have suggested, and apparently John Wall has been campaigning for within the Wizards front office. If you make that move, you'll probably be a playoff team next year, assuming that health does not ruin it, which, I mean, based on John Wall's last 2 seasons, there's a very high likelihood that that is the case, but hopefully it's not in this one. So in that case, you would come into the year with a starting lineup of John Wall, Bradley Beal, maybe Rui at small forward, maybe you sign someone, Davis Bertans at power forward, and then at center DeMarcus Cousins, who again is someone who I think once he has health, he's going to be just fine, just like John Wall, because in my video where I discussed if his career was over, I basically made the point that like this is a dude who really has never relied on athleticism, and he's not in bad shape. I don't see any reason why injuries should hold him back outside of him just not being able to play. So as long as he is able to play and he gets enough time under his belt to shake off some of the rust, I think he'll be just fine, and I think he'll still be a borderline star level player in the NBA. He just needs to not get hurt, and I think the same can be said for John Wall. So if you make that signing, which I think that's a match made in heaven, I'm pretty sure that the Wizards are going to sign DeMarcus, because based on the fact that they haven't traded Bradley Beal, I'm assuming they're going to go in the direction of retooling. So you make that move. Let's say DeMarcus Cousins by game 20 is back to a 20 and 10 big man, and John Wall, same time frame, is back to a 20 and 10 point guard. I definitely believe that is a pretty good playoff team in the East. That's obviously not a contender, unless DeMarcus Cousins is fully back to where he was a borderline superstar. Same goes for John Wall, and that's the best case scenario. But I definitely think they could be a good team if they retooled. Now, in the direction of rebuilding, well, I definitely think there's a good amount of value on this team. The one issue is, even if John Wall comes back and he's very good, you're really not going to be able to trade him until really his second to last season on his contract at the most, because John Wall has a massive contract that is not worth him as what he was at his absolute peak. So I doubt him being 80% of what he was will be worth it with his contract, especially with the salary cap looking like it's going to go down. If you decide to rebuild, you're going to have to deal with the fact that John Wall is just eating cap, and you're probably going to have to play him a bit. I don't know how you really work that out, because he's obviously not a long-term piece, but he's also not someone you can't not play. So that's an interesting predicament. For Bradley Beal, I have suggested a trade to the Hawks where they would get DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, and a couple first-round picks. I still think that's a good deal for the Wizards. There are definitely probably a few other offers out there that can match that or even be better than that, but I definitely think you can get a pretty penny for Bradley Beal, because every team in the league could really use a guy who can get a bucket from anywhere on the court and is also not a bad playmaker. So you could get a lot for Bradley Beal. You could definitely get a pretty high-value first round pick out of Davis Bertans, because a three-point shooter at his position, at his level, is one of the most valuable players a team can have. I mean, the dude was shooting 9 3-pointers a game this season on almost 43% as a power forward. That is a guy who has a lot of value and is going to get a lot of value back in a trade for him. Thomas Bryant, I didn't mention him yet. He's also a pretty solid asset, though he is 22, so you might just want to hold on to him and pair him with Rui. But if you do want to trade him, a center that can do all the center things right, as well as occasionally hit a three-pointer like once every 2 games, that's definitely a center that teams are going to want. And there's also Troy Brown, who is 20. Might want to hold on to him. He's shown some Evan Turner type of potential. Mo Wagner has been, or is it Wagner? I don't know. He had a really good season in the 37 games that he played with the Wizards. That's obviously not a big sample size, but he averaged 10 points and 5 rebounds, shot all right from 3, and shot almost 60% from the field. Definitely someone I think could get you some value in a trade, or again, 22 years old, I might just hold on to him. Jerome Robinson, he played like crap with the 13 games that he played with the Wizards, but I'm not too concerned about that. Isaac Bonga has potential as a defender, but that's about it. So there's not that much young talent on this team. It's really just Rui Hachimura and kind of Thomas Bryant, and then maybe Troy Brown as well if you think he has a lot of upside. People go back and forth on him. So rebuilding-wise, you're going to be really relying on hitting on the picks that you get for Bradley Beal and Bertans. And if you don't hit on those picks, you're going to be in a rough spot, because you're going to have very little young talent and John Wall's massive contract that you can't really get rid of. So you're going to be paying a guy a dickload of money to do almost nothing while having very little in terms of assets, and really all you're going to have is your own first-round pick. That's not a great position to start off your rebuild. It's not impossible to build from there as long as they have their picks, which I'm pretty sure they do. Definitely not impossible, and they're going to get a good pick in this year's draft. But it's also not ideal, to say the least. So if I had to make a choice here, if I'm in the position of the Wizards, I'm going to wait a year. I'm going to wait until the next offseason to rebuild. I'm going to try and retool this offseason, sign DeMarcus Cousins, sign some role players, some 3-and-D guys, and just pray that John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins can recover from their injuries and be star players once more. Because if they do that, I actually think this could be a team that is at least a second-round team, maybe even under the correct circumstances. Granted, it was a bit of a stretch. I think they could make a conference finals appearance just because I think John Wall at his peak is a top 10 player, or at least borderline. I think Bradley Beal ain't too far from that, and DeMarcus Cousins at his peak was around a top 10 player when he was healthy. Now, obviously, they're not all going to be in that category, and I doubt John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins have that level of health, but if they can have something close to it, if they can be 80% themselves, definitely a pretty damn good team. And then if you really don't like the direction the team is going in the next offseason, that's when you make some moves. Sure, Bradley Beal's value will be reduced a little bit from one less year on his contract, but I think it's worth waiting because you might have something good here and it might be too early. You might be jumping the gun if you go for a rebuild. So that is what I think is next for the Washington Wizards. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.